Oh boy, major calamity. Cards everywhere. Keep me lively. My day's been too easy, hasn't it? Okay, I'll find you some cards to read. We'll pinch one of those too. Okie dokie. I'll wait for a few of you to come on board. So I'm going to pull one today from the Wings of Wisdom and one from the Fairies Oracle. Waiting. Okay, so I have the card of Unity coming out from there, from the Fairies Oracle. It's a very different card, isn't it? It's number 1, which I think is quite interesting. Okay. When this card comes up in a reading, it's asking us to remember the mystical concept that we are all one, unified in a holistic universe. It reminds us to look at the needs and goals we have in common with others and to seek cooperation and community action rather than attempt to do everything on our own. To achieve our goals, we need the active cooperation of others, and to get that cooperation, we must be helpful to them and willing to work with the ideas as well as our own. It suggests that we think of things in terms of equal partnerships rather than in lines of hierarchical authority. Unity also tells us we have much to gain by remembering our own wholeness. Resolution of inner conflict is often necessary before we move ahead. It is important at this time that we work toward cooperation and reconciliation within and without. Seek the highest good of all involved and not merely your idea of highest good. Ask for the divine energy of unity to permeate and guide you. Hey Moira, how you going? I have this thing, and I always talk about it, about community. We don't always agree with people around us, but such a great concept to work with. And I know it's been a big lesson for me. I've worked in teams all my life, and I've worked with people that I would rather not have worked with, who didn't pull their weight, or, their ideas were very different and very difficult to come to some sort of compromise with mine. But the thing was, I always learned from someone else. So even when hey, Crystal Beauty, whenever they would suggest something, if I felt I didn't agree with it, I'd really explore why they thought it would be better the way they were doing it. And if I could see something in that I could take on board, it helped me to work with people, because I'd be like, okay, if I see it from that perspective, at least I felt like I was somewhat involved. But sometimes people have really obscure ideas, and trying to get several people on the same page can be quite challenging. So I feel at the moment, especially with the way the world's been, that there's a lot of needing to work with other people now, because things are so different. So we're relying on others a lot more than what we're used to. For example, relying on other people to keep their 1.5 meter distance between us, which a lot of people don't understand. And I feel like saying to them, do you know how far this is? Here's a tape measure. So I have the card of the duck coming out. How awesome is that? So the duck is the card that says on it about healing, skillful navigation, which is exactly what I'm talking about, and ease. I navigate the worlds of spirit, creativity, and emotion with grace. So on the back of it says, you will move through tricky circumstances without becoming entangled in drama, negativity, or ego. Your inner self knows how to guide you through any situation. Do not worry about what others think or say about you. The truth will shine through and nothing else will stick to you. You are encouraged to look beyond the worlds you know. into other realities and ways of being, trusting that you can adapt and thrive. Use nourishing oils to create a protective barrier for your skin. If you apply the oil, it just reminds me of Silence of the Lambs and rubbing the oil on the skin. Sorry, too many horror stories. As you apply the oil, imagine you're applying a layer of psychic protection. It's really weird, isn't it? Because what really does that have to do with the duck other than floating through tricky circumstances? Hey, 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 Jane, how you going? Well, that's a little bit different. The deck is called the Wings of Wisdom. What I really like is that the meaning of the card is on the back, so you don't have to read from the book and you can sort of hold the card up at the same time, which seems really sensible to me. And I remember there were a few tarot card readers. I don't really see them so much on YouTube now, but that used to have all the meanings of the cards on the back of the cards. So I mean, you could make, in theory, I've got these beautiful things here, which I still haven't got round to doing. All the projects that I think of and never get started. You can buy like blank playing cards. Actually, Jane may know about these because she's got school kids, but they look like cards on the back, but they're completely blank. And I thought, what a good idea. Instead of having, the tarot cards as they are, you could actually put your meanings on them rather than the meanings of the card sort of thing. So you could learn. How are you, Lauren? Duck does not absorb water. Good one, Jane. Good one. Yes, they're talking about oil not taking any energy in. It's sort of protection. Yeah, so you could make your own tarot cards up that way. And I just thought, what a good idea. But that's what I like about this one. There is a lot more meaning within the book. I don't know. Yeah, it tells you more about the flowing in emotion and free in spirit. This can be helpful for healers, shamans, artists, and others connecting with source of inspiration. So it has a much deeper, meaning in the book. But it sort of doesn't represent it so well on the card, which would have been nice. Hey, Hayley, how you going? Hey, Jane, how are you? Oh, we have two Janes on board today. From Austria. Welcome, Jane. The other Jane's from the US. So there you go. Welcome. So I didn't come on board yesterday. I was so just drained yesterday and I thought I would not be good company. I had some decision making to do. So I felt like I needed to take time out and do that. I'm very well, thank you. And I don't know if that was for me or whether it was for Hayley, but I'll answer anyway. So I took some time out yesterday to have some time to myself. And I watched a horror movie, which, of course, as you all know, that sort of helps me to sort of get out of my head for a little while. So I watched 30 Days of Night yesterday, which I haven't seen for a long time. And I've got to say, last time I watched that, I fell so madly in love with the guy in it. I thought he was just so beautiful. And then when I watched it yesterday, I thought, wow, my hormones must have been really out to play the day I watched that the first time, because I did not see what I saw in him at all in the movie. It's such a good horror movie. If you like a good vampire movie, very, very good movie. But it wasn't quite as scary as what it was last time. But then I was on my own. So, yeah, sometimes I watch those things and I'll scare the life out of myself, which is good fun. Thank you, Hayley. So I watched a horror movie. I did some meditations. I just generally chilled for the day just to make sure I was making some really sound decisions around a few things I was doing. And by last night, I was really clear-headed, and it was really nice to sort of really, reflect back on things that I've been thinking about lately in regards to just, where you're going in life and what you're doing. And I think sometimes you just have to take time out to do that. It's no good making rush decisions if you haven't thought through what you want from those decisions. So how do you guys make your decisions? Do you go and have a nice hot bath, or if it's a solid decision you've got to make, it's not an easy one. But anyway, I got some good results from what I'd done. So What else? So we had the group for the psychic group on Saturday, and I had so much fun with the guys in the group. And I know some of the people that are on board today did that group with us. I sometimes think maybe an hour isn't enough, and I may consider that going forward. We did an hour and a half the other day. Um, oh, Moira, I wish I was more like you. Some decisions I don't know. Hey Susan, how you going? Yeah, sometimes decisions, like I obviously try to make them for the best for myself. Oh, if you could make decisions for me, I'd just have to ask. My iPad. um, but yeah, sometimes I think you really have to take two time. Oh, hey Cheryl, how you going? New subscriber, welcome. So decisions, Moira says she makes them as rarely as possible, which is fabulous if you can do that. Thank you. Cheryl's new to the room, everybody. Make her feel welcome. Toss a dice, pull a card. Magic 8 ball. I just forgot about that. I used to have a magic 8 ball, and I think, well, if it really does give me an idea, I'll go after that, right? But I think I gave it to one of my grandsons, so it probably doesn't exist anymore because apparently they're pretty rough and ready when it comes to toys. So I don't know where that's gone now, but sometimes I pull a few tarot cards. And I'm sure because there's a few of you here that read tarot. Do you? Hey, Gigi, how you going? How do you any of you pull tarot cards? I had a friend who was I'm not friends with her anymore, but she used to drive me crazy because she wouldn't make a single decision not a single decision. Shall I go for coffee? I'll just draw a few tarot cards. I'm like, oh, for goodness sakes, you don't need to do that. Make your decisions. But if I've got a big decision to make, I might pull out the tarot card. So Haley says she does that. Hello, darling. How are you? Oh, hey, how are you, Scott? So you've got a pendulum. That's a really good idea. I did the pendulum. I haven't really told you too much. My daughter fell pregnant a couple of months ago. So she's about to sort of talk about it now, release. But she actually had twins, and she'd been and had she's got 4 children. So she's got a daughter 10, a set of twins who are now going on for 7, and then another little boy who's about 16 months. And she fell pregnant with twins. And I was like, oh boy, 6 children is a lot of children in this day and age. Anyway, she went for the first ultrasound, and the twins were doing quite well. They were not identical. But between that and then taking her partner for the next ultrasound, she lost one of the twins. So that's why I came off last week and didn't come on one day, because it was sort of, even though it was sort of fairly early in the piece, it was still quite distressing. Well, it was distressing for me, but it was distressing for her. But her poor partner apparently broke down terribly in the ultrasound and just went into a bit of a mess. So I went over to support them, but so she's still got the other one there. So she asked me, oh, thanks, Sarah. She asked me to do the pendulum on her belly. Now, I'll tell you the story of my children. So when my daughter-in-law was pregnant, she desperately wanted a girl, and I did it on her and said, you're having a boy. And she was a little, but she had a boy, and he's absolutely gorgeous, and she loves him to bits. When my granddaughter was pregnant, I picked up that she was having a boy straight away, and everybody else said she was having a girl, and I was like, no, it's a boy. And then she had Kai, so she had a boy. With my daughter, I seem to have so much trouble trying to work out, with her children. She wanted another daughter, so she's got the 3 boys, and she desperately wanted to have another girl. And because she's getting older, she sort of felt that she had to do it now. And I went over the other day, and I've been wrong with every one of her children, completely wrong. And it came up girl. So I'm fingers crossed that she's having a girl now after her little, after that little bit of sadness. Hey, Carla, how you going? You must have skipped past there somewhere. Yeah, because I saw someone saying, hey, and Honey's on board too. So that was a pretty sad thing, but, at least the other one, thanks, Gigi. At least the other one's still okay. The ultrasound person said that apparently it does happen with a lot of people, but generally, oh my goodness, this will be my 8th grandchild. And I have a great grandson who's 3 now. Yeah, I'm hoping it's a little girl. I really am, because I think if it's going to be the last one, but she was, yeah, I think she's okay now, but she was a bit upset to start off with. So, because she'd seen the heartbeats. So both of them had been there. That must be really hard for the people who do the ultrasounds when you go back again and they have to say, I'm sorry, one of them's, died or whatever. But anyway, hopefully this one, yeah, will stay healthy and wealthy and wise. So fingers crossed it's a little girl. So yeah, there you go. Gigi has 3 granddaughters. Sarah has. Come on, Sarah, tell us how many grandchildren you have, because you have a tribe, don't you? You have a football team. I'm waiting for Sarah to say, because I'm pretty sure she said she had quite a lot of grandchildren. I don't know whether I read that somewhere or if I dreamed it. Now, 15, there you go. So I can't be, oh, Rebecca, that's really sad. Yeah, and the ultrasound person said that apparently it happens a lot with twins now because they do the ultrasound so early, whereas years ago, people may not have known they were pregnant with twins because by the time they went for the ultrasound, they would only have one left. So they just always thought it was just one. Jane has 3 dogs. I love that, Jane. What sort of dogs do you have? It is a bit sad, but we're all good now. We've done our bit of grieving and we're all good. So what sort of dogs do you have, Jane? That's too funny. It's funny because your surnames, both Janes have similar surnames too. So that's quite interesting, isn't it? Whippets. Oh, how cool are they? See-through dogs. When I was a kid, I remember the person across the road had one and he used to stand outside with it all the time. And I reckon it was amazing because you could see straight through that dog. You could see his ribs, his everything. So it's called them see-through dogs. Yes, of course. Sarah, I knew that they might have been a bit of a Heinz variety, but you still love them all the same, don't you? Whippets, very nice. Hey, Jeanette, how you going? So what else was I going to talk about? I had something else to talk about with you today. Yeah, Jane Hancock, I've met her Rottweiler and her Labrador. I met them when I first spoke with Jane before I saw them. Heinz variety. 54, isn't it? 54 or something for a Heinz variety. Oh, and one cat who's a jerk. I love that. Some cats are jerks, unfortunately. I don't know what that is. I had at one stage, I had 5 cats before I got a dog. So I'd had dogs as a child. We never really had cats. So when I got older, I had cats for the kids right the way through. But I had one stage 5 cats because I'd got my cat. Her name was Tequila because she was orange. She looked like a tequila sunrise. We used to call her Tiki. And then from then onwards, I kept getting people's cats when they dumped them or didn't want them anymore. So someone dumped a litter of kittens in the shed out the back of our place. So we managed to keep one of them, survived. The rest died. And then we got Tabitha. Somebody was trying to drown Tabitha and my daughter brought her home. And then we got Jack, and Jack was found in a plastic bag where someone put him in a plastic bag and thrown him in the river. So he was the tiniest little thing. I don't even think he'd been old enough to take away from his family. So yeah, all cats are like people. Some are just jerks. My cats were all so placid. You have no idea. They were all so placid. And people say to me, "What do you do with your cats?" And I was like, "I don't know." They were all, you could pick them up, do anything. They were like rag dolls. They just all very placid cats. And then my daughter decided she wanted a cat. And my daughter's cats were always really wild. And I used to say to her, "Why do your cats get so wild? Like they're crazy." So one of them, every time you walk past him, would give you a swipe as you were going past. Um, and I think she used to stir them up a lot. And I think my granddaughter does the same thing. Hey, Vane, how you going? Um, yeah. Oh, chihuahuas. How beautiful. Well, I had a Shih Tzu Maltese dog for 14 years, and he died nearly 2 years ago now. And we were talking about how wonderful he was because the kids used to just fall all over him. Like they just gave him, like, he was just like part of the family. So all of the grandchildren, right the way through, all photographs with him in it. He's in every photograph of the kids. Um, Oh, how cool is that? Yeah, I'm afraid I'm a little bit of a yeah, my daughter has yeah, I've seen your Staffy, Lauren. My daughter has a Staffy as well, a white Staffy. Only hers is lot really spotty, like a Dalmatian, but she's beautiful. She's such a sook though, and she loves it when I come over because she gets lots of attention from me. Um, yeah, we've had a lot of Staffies in our family. My son had a Staffy. He's now got a pig dog, a bull terrier, which if you're ever going to think about getting, they're beautiful, beautiful dogs, but boy, are they hard to train. He ate everything. They've $10,000 worth of operations on that dog to remove things from his gut because he eats everything. He's absolutely beautiful. Yeah, Staffy's a really good breed of dog. I think they're beautiful dogs. Um, Everybody I know that's had a Staffy has said basically the same thing. So, oh, well, there you go. See, $5,000 later. Um, the dog my son's got ate a collar. He had a big leather collar with the studs on, and he managed to take his collar off and eat it. Well, he couldn't pass it. So he'd already eaten blankets, towels, face wash, knickers. He'd already eaten a whole heap of stuff, and we'd managed to get him to pass it, but the collar he couldn't. So he had to go into hospital and have an operation done, but because it was so fixed fast, it cost him a lot of money. And then not long ago, he done it again, and they had to put him in again. He just eats anything, that dog. Pit bulls are beautiful, aren't they? Beautiful. Oh, I believe animals have souls, Rebecca. My dog was incredibly smart. And I know when he looked at me, you could really tell where he was at. If he was nervous, upset, you could always tell where he was at. I know that he knew the day he was gonna die, that he was gonna die. My daughter said to me, they kept looking at me in this particular way, and I know he knew. So, yes, I do think so. Um, oh, you lost custody, Gigi. Did you lose custody of your dog? Yeah, I do think they do too. I think that some dogs are, I think they're like humans again. You know, somebody said cats being like humans. I think dogs are like humans too. There are some dogs that seem to be very, very smart, seem to have really good common sense, learn very easily, and some dogs just seem to stay like puppies. They don't seem to grow up. They don't seem to sort of gather any intelligence, and they're really difficult to train or work with. Um, so I do think that they are a little bit like anybody else, any other breed. Like even with cats, like I said, all my cats were so placid. Anybody could do anything. They never scratched. They never would have bothered anybody. They were just beautiful, very laid back. My daughter's cats were scoundrels. Like they'd attack you wherever they could. The one she's got now is absolutely beautiful, Tux. And I went to pat him one day and he bit me. And Sarah said, that's what he does when he likes you. So both her cat and her dog bite me, and apparently it's because they like me. I'm glad human beings don't do that. Um, Yeah, I don't know, but Rebecca, but I know I come from a family that were very religious, who believed animals didn't have souls. But then, if you go back to the days of slavery in America or the US, I remember reading stories where people would put African people into slavery because they didn't think that the African people had souls. It's just a really strange thing, but apparently that's in history. So, yeah, she passed, but has some interesting ideas about the universe. I really, I really should go and have a look at. I should go and have a look at a name, Dolores Cannon. That's quite interesting. So my family, because they were oh, Pentecostal, something like that. And they all became quite, or not all of them, some of them became quite religious. And then they would tell me, that animals didn't have souls. And that used to hurt my feelings really badly because I used to be able to pretty much talk with my dog. I know when he was upset. I've seen people in aquariums with fish that have responded to attention. So I believe all animals have souls, and probably spiders do too. That's probably why Patrick got a bit offended when we talked about him the other day, because I haven't seen him since. um, yeah, cats. Yeah, sometimes cats become very dog-like, don't they? And I think dogs become a little bit cat-like too. I think that they don't necessarily have one type of personality. That's why I think they have souls, because they're like anybody. If you raise several animals like the cats I had, all very, very different personalities, no matter what. So I would think so, yes. But apparently, yeah, Patrick is hiding out. Apparently, some religions don't believe that people have souls. That's just a very religious view. So it's also a very white patriarchal, not a very nice view whatsoever, but we won't get caught up in that sort of stuff. If you're religious, you may belong to a religion that doesn't believe animals have souls. I don't really know why. Multiple TV screens. I like that. Oh, Moonstone, that's really sad. You hear some beautiful stories, don't you, about animals? I went on holidays once to Europe, and I had no one to look after Billy, and I put him in a very well-known boarding kennel where people had given me really good reviews of it. And I said to them when I put them in there, he's a very fussy eater, and he was. I could hand feed him anything, but he was pretty fussy. And every morning he got a slice of cheese. So he'd wait by the fridge until I gave him his cheese. Pavlov's dog. Anyway, I put him in there for 4 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever it was that we were overseas for. And when I got back, the woman said he did not eat. I don't even know how he survived that long. But he would never leave my side. He was with me the whole time, never would leave my side. Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? So poor Patrick. Yeah, I don't know where Patrick went. I haven't seen him since. He could have gone off to do some growing. Since he was up in that corner where Lauren saw him, I think. And then that was it. I didn't see him again after that. So if he comes out, he might be quite large next time. So I'm sure you'll be able to see him if he comes out on the wall behind me. But yes, it's really crazy, isn't it? How people think that things don't have souls, or that, I don't know. It's really horrible. Yeah, he might have gone back outside. The wind's died down a little bit. It's cold today, though. I had the heater going this morning because it was quite cold. It was very chilly in here this morning. So, but anyway, I better go back to work. I'm going to say goodbye to you all and say thank you very much. Don't forget thumbs up. Moira come in a moment. Oh, stop it, honey. No baby spiders. Because then I hit one day. I hit a spider one day from years and years ago, and all these spiders, millions of them, all just ran out everywhere. So I don't do that anymore. We don't want any babies. Otherwise, it would have been Patricia, not Patrick. Um, so I'll leave you to it, and I'll see you tomorrow. Mwah! Love you all.